Married at First Sight, Season 16, Episode 9. So this was the episode where they had their little housewarming parties, and the couples were looking for advice from each other's friends on how to tolerate their spouse that they don't like and aren't attracted to. I'm Tamara, and this is Tamara Lynette Tells. Let's talk about this episode. Dom and Mac. So we see the rest of their conversation with Pastor Cal, and Dom is like, I'm just over it. And Pastor Cal is like, over what? What is it? This conversation, this marriage, what is it? It can have so many different meanings. Okay, Pastor Cal, calm down. You know what she meant. I did. She built her little case earlier when she was airing out her grievances about what she ordered versus the husband you gave her. So finally, she said she wanted a divorce, and Pastor Cal tried to blame it on her age. Maybe 25 is too young. I don't know if 25 is too young, but pairing a 25-year-old with someone 9 years older was a huge mistake, on top of the craziness of trying to match strangers to get married at first sight in the first place. The odds of failure for these two was through the roof. So after Dom called it quits, Mac was upset and all teary-eyed. Now, I don't believe he was upset about losing Dom. I think he was disappointed that he uprooted himself, moved from Michigan to Nashville, crawled up in his friend's family basement to do this show, only for his marriage to last a week. I also think he's embarrassed because he keeps saying he feels like the loser living in a basement. But he didn't think his living situation through, gambled that his wife wouldn't have a problem with him not having a permanent place to live in Nashville. I don't know, maybe he was hoping that she'd be willing to relocate to Michigan. But since the very beginning, I've questioned his story because during the matching episode, he claimed that he now works as a project manager since cannabis isn't legal in Tennessee. They even showed him walking through an empty construction site with the hard hat on and everything. Since then, no one has ever mentioned this job, and they list his occupation as entrepreneur. But if he still has a successful cannabis business and living in the basement, probably paying peanuts for rent, if anything, where does this project manager job come in? Like, why does he need it? And why then does Dom keep saying he's not very established if he allegedly has two sources of income, not to mention a mama who can give him $50K not to do the show? His story is so convoluted. The devil is in the details, and they are not being good storytellers when it comes to his situation. All in all, I don't think he's a bad person or a bad husband. He was paired with the wrong person and didn't properly plan his temporary living situation. As for Dom, based on what she said on Afterparty, that off camera, Mac was being very vocal about his disappointment in the wife they gave him. I don't blame her for walking away. But at the same time, the reason he was disappointed is because she picked him apart by pointing out every dang flaw he has. So while Mac didn't plan his Nashville living situation properly, she didn't plan for how to handle it if her husband had personality quirks that bothered her. Constantly pointing out things she didn't like about him and saying, I'm just being honest, isn't always the best approach, Miss Good Vibes Only. Instead, look for solutions and compromises. Like, for example, Dom said Mac complained a lot and she had to force him to do things on the honeymoon. How about saying, let's do this. I'll pick 3 things I want to do and you pick 3 things you want to do, even if it's just chilling in the hotel room, and let's enjoy those 6 things. But hell, at the end of the day, it comes down to, should they have been matched in the first place? The answer is no. These two were caused undue stress and heartache. Mac over there crying, and I'm sure feeling like moving to Nashville for the last 5 months was a big waste of time and effort. And Dom walking away with her little box of toiletry items that couldn't even fit her sneakers, looking like little orphan Annie over there, all sad and disappointed. I hope for their sake that they are able to get this marriage annulled. Moving on to Chuck Norris and Gina. Chuck Norris met up with his friend and played Frisbee. This show loves having men play Frisbee. I'm not mad at Frisbee, but never have I ever had a man tell me about his day and include a round of Frisbee as part of it. I'm just saying. Anyway, I was surprised to see Gina rolling her luggage into the apartment. After the last episode, it looked like she was content with her decision not to move in and instead semi-work on their relationship from her new hair salon. The fact that Pastor Cal was able to get Gina to see that in order to give this marriage a chance, she needs to move in, solidifies my opinion that the experts need to be more involved and involved earlier. Still, I don't think they're going to make it. She may as well have just stayed home and put all that energy into her new salon. I don't believe that they have enough time to get over the things that they said to each other at the honeymoon, then develop physical attraction and build a nice foundation for a loving relationship in time to say yes on decision day. But then again, I've been wrong before. The last 2 seasons have had more yeses on decision day than there should have been. So maybe there is a tiny glimmer of hope for them. How about Jasmine and Airris? Never smooth sailing for these two either. When Airris met with his cousin and talked about how Jasmine responded after he told Pastor Cal he wasn't attracted to her, that Jasmine said she understands that he's not there yet, but of course she wants her husband to want to rip off her clothes. The cousin sees Jasmine as giving fake textbook pageant queen answers. Is she fake or does she just use proper English? Come on now. To the confessional cam, the cousin said something like, why doesn't she just say, I want my husband to be attracted to me and it hurts my feelings that he's not? That would be her keeping it real. Jasmine saying that she wants her husband to rip off her clothes is her way of saying that she's disappointed that he's not attracted to her. Calm down and stop being the fake police. She's fake. She's fake. I hate to be the one to break it to you, but Jasmine is not the problem in this situation, cousin. So Airris proceeds to invite this person who has nothing good to say about him, his marriage, or his wife to their housewarming party. I'm so glad she said no because the marriage is struggling enough without the cousin's negative juju being added to the mix. However, I did agree with the cousin when she said, if you want this marriage to work, you need to be a husband. But I didn't agree with how she defined being a husband as having sex with his wife. There's a crap load of things he needs to do and undo before he attempts to lovingly blow her back out, as he likes to put it. And he can start with no longer using the blow your back out phrase. So after the party starts, the group talks about his cousin not wanting to come and her attitude towards Jasmine and the marriage. One of Airris's friends said, that's just how she is, referring to his cousin. So it sounds like his cousin has a reputation for being a negating Natasha. Or how about when Jasmine's friends asked Airris how he would feel if she decided to get rid of her dogs, and he said, I would be super excited. I was thinking, Airris, that's how Jasmine would feel if you decided to get rid of your meddling cousin. So now what? Jasmine telling Airris's friends that she and Airris haven't had sex yet? They were standing there like, how in the heck did I get here? Cameras all up in my face while this lady tells me that my friend, who is known up in these streets for being an F-boy, doesn't want to blow her back out. But wait, did you notice the sign behind her that says, do whatever you want? And do you is circled? Now this looks like a daily affirmation from Airris about this marriage. I'm going to do whatever I want and you can simply do you, boo. So much for this relationship being a partnership. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if we found out after the season ends that Airris went back with the woman he slept with right before he got married. Jasmine is a very cute girl and very nice. I'm thinking there's more to him and his lack of attraction to Jasmine than meets the eye. Moving on to Nicole and Chris, the only couple that seems to have a chance right now. So Nicole had lunch with her friend and explained that she's waiting for something bad to happen and reading too much into his compliments. Girl, that's a well-known recipe for disaster. Now, normally I would fuss at you for questioning the good, but based on the dumpster fire marriages you're surrounded by, you're probably wondering, is my marriage bad too and I'm just missing the warning signs? Like, am I lucky or am I dumb for not seeing that my marriage is a catastrophe? Oh, and looks like the producers gave her a new wedding photo since she threw a fit about the original one they chose. The first one wasn't so bad though, she's tripping. And this show loves them a good shirtgate. This season's shirtgate was Nicole buying her and Chris goofy matching flamingo shirts for their housewarming. I mean, initially he said he would wear it, but after Nicole pressed him to be honest, he was like, no, I don't want to wear it. Said the man wearing a sandwich shirt, the same man who wore the one tank top on their honeymoon over and over again. Now, all of a sudden, you're a fashion influencer? Once again, you couldn't compromise and just wear the dang shirt. It's not like the one you ended up wearing was Instagram worthy and whatnot. But on the other hand, if she wanted him to wear the shirt, she shouldn't have pressed him to say no. Her friends kept telling Chris not to let Nicole run all over him. Child, Nicole is the one with footprints on her forehead, not him. I think he needs to worry more about Nicole's insecurities ruining their marriage. Her asking daily, if decision day were today, what would you say? Questioning his compliments and waiting for bad things to happen. When you put a lot of energy into looking for something bad to happen, oftentimes it will. The universe is funny that way. And finally, why did the one brother who was invited to the party show up 3 hours late? Come on, man, you're perpetuating the stereotype. For Kirsten and Shaq's housewarming, they made a conscious decision to invite married couples. Kirsten and Shaq, married couples who took the time to date, get to know each other, fall in love, get engaged, then plan a wedding, are not going to relate to your shotgun marriage on TV situation. So they dubbed their honeymoon, no consummation, just conversation. You two can make all the little funny sayings that you want, but she's still gonna conversate you to a no on decision day, sir. So she repeated her claims that she's not a good kisser. That's why she hasn't kissed him. She keeps changing up her story on why she won't kiss him. On the wedding day, she didn't kiss him because he didn't ask. He should have asked to kiss me. But then when he asked her, she said, we need to get to know each other. Now that they know each other, it's, I'm not a good kisser. Girl, you better stop playing with this man. Eventually, he's going to get tired of your silly excuses and end up downloading a dating app to get his kissing booth on and popping. During the group meetup, Mac, of all people, was the one to ask if anyone had sex. I think he asked the question so he can get away without having to answer it himself. I wouldn't be surprised if they secretly had sex early on during their honeymoon because they were really into each other for a minute. Now, Nicole and Chris were the only couple that admitted to having sex. Oops. Chris is the only husband who admitted to blowing his wife's back out. Meanwhile, Jasmine was over there mumbling comments under her breath about sex not happening in her Ponderosa. Jasmine is like, somebody up in here needs to step up and rip my clothes off, damn it. So Dom and Mac broke the news that they're going to get a divorce. I never believe these scenes like this. These couples are so close. There's no way this was their first time hearing that information. So Mac was over there being dramatic, saying that I was blindsided by her decision. Were you really, though? According to Dom on Afterparty, he was being very vocal about the experts not giving him the qualities he was looking for in a wife. She already ruined the honeymoon by picking apart his personality and living situation. How did he think that Pastor Cal conversation was going to end? Anyways, some of the other couples were trying their best to be group therapists to convince Dom that she gave up too soon. Nicole told her that she would regret this decision later, which she probably did after speaking to her mom, who did a 180, by the way, from being afraid he was a serial killer to being heartbroken that he was no longer with her daughter. But Nicole got Dom to agree that maybe she'd leave the door open to Mac. But then later, Mac got her to admit that she gave into peer pressure when she agreed to maybe. Okay, Mrs. I'm honest. Time to put on your big girl panties and stand your ground. Your decision is none of their business. Tell them I said what I said and I meant it. Now move on. When Dom told Mac that she would like to be friends, he said, I want to be your friend. Thank you. You didn't even seem to like the man. You two don't like to do the same activities, and we know this because you kept complaining about it during the honeymoon. You don't like his sense of humor, and you definitely don't want to hang out with him in his basement bungalow. Where does the friendship fit in? Not to mention that he's probably going to be on the first plane back to Michigan in the morning. To the confessional camp, she was talking about that she's taken a lot of jabs and petty conversations and statements have been said to her that are immature and I don't want that in my life. Girl, now you're gaslighting. You were the one who kept taking jabs at the man throughout the honeymoon, immaturely gave into peer pressure at the group gathering, and said he should be further along in life when he has a cannabis empire in Flint, Michigan. I know, I got a little carried away there with the empire, but I don't get broke energy from him. Cheap, maybe, but not broke. So for this season, it looks like it's going to be an experiment in how to live with a spouse you're not attracted to for 8 weeks before you call it quits on decision day. The only potential love story we might see will be Nicole and Chris. And to be honest, I don't believe their situation is as unbalanced as they are making it seem. Since they get along so well, they have to give us something to chew on with these two. Otherwise, we're just watching them eat, pet Chris's dogs, and go to Costco. Well, that's all I have for now. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you in my next video.